Welcome to Psychic Insights, where pop culture meets higher consciousness and the tea is always a little bit mystical. I'm Robin Richardson, your psychic girlfriend, and around here we don't just watch the drama unfold, we read the energy behind it, whether it's celebrity scandals, reality TV, chaos, or true crime with a twist. I'm tuning in to bring you the intuitive scoop the headlines miss. So buckle up, because your aura's about to get entertained. Hello, it's me again. It's your psychic girlfriend covering the Laura Owens saga. It's become a saga. I'm possibly your favorite psychic to cover the Laura Owens saga drama. But today I want to take a deeper look into something that I've been sitting with, not just as a psychic, but as a mother. Because when I look at the energetic tie between Jan Black, also known as Elizabeth Naylor, and her daughter Laura Owens, I see a story that goes far beyond money and court cases. And I was so curious because I just don't get it. And that's when I do a spiritual inquiry. Oh my gosh. This is about family patterns, control, and why some children launch into independence like Sarah, while others never leave the nest. And as a mother myself, I have to admit, it really does make me curious. Like, why did one daughter, Sarah, build her own life, have a career, a husband, children, while Laura stayed so tightly bound to her mother's orbit? Now, everybody can say, well, she's a little cray-cray, and that could be true. But when I pulled the cards, mountain, tower, house, moon, heart, cloud, ship, fox, snake, child, birds, and scythe, Spirit showed me a dynamic where it's Jan, it's all Jan, keeping Laura in the role of child. Now, this doesn't really surprise me. Well, it does surprise me a little bit. It feels like Laura was never given permission to really truly grow up. Instead, she was kept dependent. She lives in the casita. She's a dependent on them financially. And I think she's been kept there because of Jan's control. Now, this isn't the kind of love that lets daughters fly. It's because we've seen Jan put her on the podcast and all these other things like the Quartet Farms, which is the horse farm LLC, and I don't know if she was part of Liz Max. I can't remember that, but so it feels a little mixed messagey to me, like, stay useful, but don't outgrow me. And I think that's possibly why Laura never really launched and why Sarah did. So you might ask yourself, well, why all the lawsuits? So we saw a pattern with Laura attacking men in court cases that never stick. Like, these men never stick, right? So she has to take this action in a law case. And this energy just feels wasted, and I have to ask myself, like, is this Laura's choice? Is it just her choice? And it suggests that it isn't. There's a sense that Jan has either enabled her or quietly encouraged her in this behavior. And I think we saw a lot of that actually with Clayton's case. And how one of the body cam wellness checks from the FBI, you can check out Dave Neal or Schnitzel Ninja's YouTube pages for a lot of that, but how Laura just sort of defers to her mother, while Jan just keeps talking and talking and talking and talking and weaving the story where I think Laura just continues to believe that herself. So I don't think, obviously, not very helpful to Laura and her growth. So why? And the card suggests that it keeps Laura tied down and it keeps her playing a role in the family's drama. I also feel like, I think there were rumors with Ron being unfaithful, so I feel like part of his unfaithfulness may have played a part in Jan's psyche and how she raised Laura. I'm kind of familiar with it, with that. Like I felt protected. Long story. That's my background. You don't need to hear it. It's not that interesting, but I can totally relate to one sister being much more independent, where the other was more dependent on the mother, and that's what it kind of seems like is happening here. So it feels like Jan is trying to keep her busy with these projects, even the lawsuits, and keeping her dependent and maybe hoping to benefit indirectly from any sort of financial win. And I know you're probably sitting there going, well, that's cuckoo. And it is. It is. And again, these are my spiritual insights. And this is what my cards say. It's purely, I don't know these people. I've never met them. But the energy that keeps coming out into the world and their story fascinates me. But there's another question here. Like, why is Laura so often seen as like weak and needy? And so I asked Spirit and I pulled Clover, Star, and Fox. And the Clover shows short-term luck, little wins, little bursts of opportunity. And the Star shows her dreaming, reaching, imagining something more for herself. But Fox tells the truth. Instead of standing strong, Laura often leans on strategy, on manipulation to carry her. And she has had to have seen this play out in her own upbringing. It's survival energy. And survival energy is obviously being shown here with their bankruptcy, how they've managed their money. I'm not here to criticize or judge that, but I also feel like it shows that this family has, even though the money they've made shows a scarcity consciousness. So while Laura might shine in flashes, she never sustains it. I mean, we don't ever see her with a real job or a any kind of project that continues, and she uses her failures, if you will, as, you know, because her life is in shambles, which it is, you know. She did it herself, honestly, and with help of Jan. So we see this constant dependency and neediness and fragility in her, and her constant dependence on her mother. And I mean, we see this in her physical self. So Spirit shows me this is why Laura never became her own anchor. She never, you know, she maybe wants to reach for the stars, but she was never really taught how to build a ladder to get there. So then I thought, well, what happened to Jan in her childhood? So I pulled Scythe, Bouquet, Mice, and Book, and this is what I saw. It's pretty striking. That a childhood that looked happy and polished on the outside, and the bouquet, the smile for the world, but behind closed doors there were cuts, losses, and secrets. Joy was eaten away, and sometimes it was missing, and silence covered it up. So what happens when a little girl grows up like that? You know, she learns to value appearances, to hold control, to keep people close out of fear of loss, and sometimes she passes down those patterns. And from what I can recall, I think Jan went to San Francisco at a very young age to become part of the radio community. So, you know, Jan has some persistence, right? I also wondered what would happen to Jan if Laura were to spend time in jail. And Jan, obviously, as a mom, faces heartbreak, but not just as a mom, but because her entire identity has been wrapped in keeping Laura close. And I also wondered if Jan would face her own charges. And Spirit hasn't shown me a direct criminal path, but there's a risk of financial or reputational fallout, which we are seeing. And energetically, she would be forced to confront the truth if she's been avoiding for decades. So for Jan, this could be an opportunity for her own space to really look at the patterns of her own life and come to terms with her own actions. So when I step back as both a psychic and a mom, here's what I see. Jan never healed from her childhood wounds, and she's repeated them with Laura, and Laura never got a chance to become her own woman. And this isn't just about bankruptcy, it's a karmic debt, and it's carried through generations. Now the question now is, will the cycle be broken, or will it repeat in another way? So what do you think? If you were in Jan's shoes, would you have pushed Laura to stand on her own 2 feet, even if it hurt? Or would you have kept her close, no matter what the cost? I think I know your answers. And if you like this content, like and share, and ring the bell, and do all the things, and leave a comment. I want to go deeper into these people and their dynamics, and your support means the world. So if you're a mom out there and you're being challenged, I got you. And if you're a daughter being challenged by your own mother, well, I'm living proof that you can survive pretty much anything. And I love my mother for that, by the way. Because of her, I am who I am, and I will always be grateful for that, no matter what the challenge is. And I'll see you in the next one.